咪揾到即係佢感染出嚟即係陽性嘅時候咧，其實已經喺檢疫中心嗰度俾我哋檢疫緊，從而佢喺社區嘅活動咧就大大減少。呢個係香港用嘅做法。既然係一個都係有效嘅做法，隨便去採取另一種未實踐過嘅做法咧，係我覺得係比較唔係好妥當嚇。咁所以我哋會繼續用呢個方法嚟到去嚴控呢個疫情嘅擴散。
今日最後一條問題，右邊前排黑色衫嗰位女記者，呢位。
Thank you. A few questions from RTHK. So the first question is about Dr. Gabriel Leung's advice, because he was saying, I think earlier last week, that the government can consider rolling out, allowing nighttime dining again until 8 p.m. Is this something the authorities can or is considering? And secondly, about the arrangement you just announced that the vaccine bubble will be rolled out earlier. So are you concerned long queues outside the vaccination centres will emerge again, like what we saw earlier this month? And have you discussed the arrangement with sectors involved, including, for example, the catering industry? Can they cope with this arrangement? Because this arrangement has been amended time and again. Thank you.
Of course, Professor Gabriel Leung is one of my expert advisors, and the University of Hong Kong has been commissioned by us to do a weekly assessment on the situation. But at the moment, since we have implemented the social distancing measures, including the restriction of dine-in in restaurants until the 3rd of February, there is no plan to relax this particular measure. Especially, you have heard me reporting on 2 local clusters which are of concern. One is the quarantine hotel, which has led to, of course, the quarantine woman in the hotel plus 9 relatives or close relatives. The other is the pet shop cluster, which we are very worried. So for the time being, we have no plan to relax what we have already announced for implementation. But going forward, of course, we will adjust our measures. If we were to allow dining again, whether it will be back to the pre-Omicron situation, which is very relaxed, or we would adopt other means, this is something that we will certainly consider. And that brings me to answering your second question. One of the arrangements that we could consider after this round of social distancing is to allow businesses to operate under a vaccine bubble. In other words, staff and customers could only go into that prescribed premise after they have been vaccinated. As a result of that suggestion, of course, we are already seeing an increase. I wouldn't describe it as a surge, but an increase in vaccinations amongst the population, especially amongst the older population, which is to be welcome. Since we have been talking about this vaccine bubble for some time, and meanwhile we have been enhancing the capacity of our vaccination centers, I'm not worried about the capacity constraint leading to long queues. In fact, at the moment, we are doing about 40,000 doses every day, but our capacity far exceeds the 40,000. But I would advise members of the public to try to book for an appointment to get vaccinated and leave the so-called daily quota for the elderly who find it less easy to book online. Now, about adopting vaccine bubble for an earlier resumption of business, we will certainly listen to what the sector has to say. But in fact, the idea was volunteered by the trade. When they heard that we might be imposing more social distancing measures, I heard the trade, including the restaurant trade and the beauty parlor trade, they actually volunteered that. Why didn't the government allow us to operate on the basis of vaccine bubble? we could ask our customers to get vaccinated before offering them the service. But in the next 2 weeks or so, we will continue to engage them and see whether we come up with more acceptable arrangements that will give us the assurance on fighting the epidemic, but at the moment allowing the business to operate. I fully understand their grievances and their hardship. We try to help through the AEF 5.0, and we will continue to closely monitor the situation and consider other means of support as and when necessary. 多謝大家。
今日記者會完結，多謝大家。